Oh, I think I asked you because we always really
My apartment? Yeah. Should we get started as soon as these last people get in? Seems like there's nobody else out there. Where's the fire? Is it down there? How come?
Yes. That's been for 30 years.
Yeah.
He's like involved now.
It's a little. I should send it. I have my hand. You might not have fit in there. You might have to put you on.
Good evening, and welcome everybody to the Sac State Public Debate. Thank you for coming. My name is Julian. I'm a former debater on the Sac State debate team, and I'm currently a graduate assistant and coach for the Sac State debate team. And I'd like to, we really appreciate you all coming out here, even if it was for extra credit, which I know most of you probably were. Make sure to sign out on the whips, get your stamp on the way out, by the way, get those points. This event is something we really like hosting every semester. We alternate. In the spring, we usually do a public debate, 3v3 style, like you'll be seeing tonight. And then in the fall, we'll do, like we just had some elected officials, and we have usually people come and talk about about issues that we want to discuss, important things that are relevant in the media. So this is also something we do to engage with the campus and spread awareness of the debate team, which, by the way, I'm going to brag about them a little bit. They just got back from nationals last week, and we had such a great showing. We had Autumn and George break in the novice Lincoln Douglas debate. So give them a round of applause. They made it to the semifinals, and they got 3rd and 4th place. So good job to them. And then we also had Tatiana Trujillo, who advanced to extemporaneous final round and got 3rd place for novice extemporaneous. And then also I want to acknowledge we have 2 graduating seniors tonight, or this semester. We have Tony Escalante and Jackie Blair, who are both graduating seniors, varsity debaters. So they really finished out their debate career strong. So give them a round of applause. And while giving credit out to people, I have to acknowledge I have head coach Professor Jerry Anderson here. He works really hard. He's such a great mentor and coach to the team, so we really appreciate everything he does. And then we also have Director of Forensics, Dr. Miller here, who does all the like behind the scenes logistics, gets our funding. She just does so much behind the scenes to help support the debate team. So we appreciate you so much, Dr. Miller. All right, so now I'm going to introduce what we're going to be talking about here tonight. We are talking about Citizens United, which many of you may have heard of. So we have in a debate, there's usually a declarative statement that we use as the topic. So tonight, the topic is going to be resolved. The Supreme Court of the United States should overturn Citizens United versus FEC. And so for the affirmative side that is voting for overturning Citizens United, we have Tatiana Trujillo, who's a junior, first semester debater, and she's a communication studies major. So I give a hand to Tatiana. The second speaker for the affirmative team is going to be Tony Escalante. He's a senior and he's a psych major. And finally, speaking for the affirmative team will be Tyler Gardner. Tyler is a sophomore. He's a political science major with an expressed interest in nutrition. And for the negative team, who's going to be arguing against overturning Citizens United, we have Alam Naudashe, who is a freshman and an anthropology major. Then we have Josh Smith, who is a junior, and he's a communication studies major. And finally, we have George Vang, who is a senior, and he's a public relations major. Give them all hands. All right, so the format we're going to have today for this debate, it's a 3v3, obviously. We're going to start with they're all going to speak for 5 minutes. We're going to have a 5-minute speech followed by 2 minutes of cross-examination, followed by a 5-minute speech from the negative. These are the constructive speeches, and then we'll get into another cross-examination, and we'll get into the rebuttal speeches. We'll have 5 minutes from the affirmative. Then we do a weird thing where we have two negative speeches in a row, because the affirmative gets to speak last. So we'll have 2 5-minute speeches by the negative, and then we'll finally have the affirmative 5-minute speech, and then we'll get you guys out of here if we can on time. All right, so without further ado, I'll turn it over to Tatiana.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. Here's my affirmative speech. Hillary Clinton is a big fat liar who slept with President Barack Obama on the top of ballot boxes to secure votes when she ran against Trump. Obviously, this is a blatant lie, but in 2008, a company named Citizens United wanted to run a documentary about Hillary Clinton during the 2008 presidential election. This documentary was scheduled to be published within 60 days of the primary election, but the federal government stepped in and halted its publication. Although all may be familiar with the 2010 Citizens United decision, for those that are unfamiliar, it is a Supreme Court decision that decided that the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act was unconstitutional because it prohibited all independent expenditures from campaigning too close to an election and violated the First Amendment's protection of free. According to the Center for Responsive Politics, independent political organizations have poured $4.5 billion into federal elections since 2010, including more than $1 billion in spending by groups that don't have to disclose their donors. This blatantly opens the door to corruption through dark money. This is also an inherently racist decision, as a growing body of research shows most big political donors are white and male, drowning out the voices of the country's increasingly diverse electorate. What's more, the skyrocketing cost of elections blocks many lower income and people of color candidates from running for office. 1, dark money, corruption. What type of restrictions this would allow for? Democracy is the influx of money in politics has made it easier for special interests to sway elections and control our government. But how did we get here, and what can we do to stop it? Political campaigns are the cornerstone of democracy, providing a platform for candidates to present their ideas and engage with the public. However, the influx of money in recent years has given rise to concerns about the potential for corruption in the political process. This is particularly worrisome given the prevalence of dark money, anonymous donations that can be used to sway elections without accountability. The Supreme Court case of Citizens United versus FEC and Buckley versus Vallejo have made it difficult for the government to regulate campaign finance by equating money with speech. According to David Smith from The Guardian, in the 13 years since Citizens United versus FEC, outside groups have spent more than $4.4 billion in federal elections, almost $1 billion of which was dark money, typically through nonprofits that do not disclose their donors. By overturning Citizens United, legal loopholes that have been exploited by big money for so long will be closed, and although the First Amendment states Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, corporations are not people and should not be treated as such. Any electioneering communications, such as broadcast, Google, or satellite communication, that refers to a unified federal candidate made within 60 days of a general election or 30 days of a primary election must be interviewed by the United States government in order to limit foreign influence. Preventing foreign influence on U.S. elections has apparently never been recognized as a legitimate state interest in the way that national security has been. Corruption and misinformation. The misinformation and overall increase in political advertisements is directly tied to Citizens United. According to Open Secrets, the proliferation of controversial political advertisements in the past decade isn't a coincidence. It's a direct result of the Supreme Court's 2010 Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission ruling, which helped pump billions of dollars into politics from outside sources that are supposed to be untethered from candidates or political parties. With this decision, the court allowed corporations, including nonprofits, and labor unions to spend funds to support or oppose political candidates. The majority made the case that political spending from independent actors, even for powerful corporations, was not a influence on those in office. The decade that followed was by far the most expensive in the history of elections. Independent groups spent billions to influence crucial races, substantial political parties, and morphing into expansions of candidate campaigns. Wealthy donors flexed their expanded political power by injecting unprecedented sums into elections. Transparency eroded as dark money groups, keeping their sources of funding secrets, emerged as political powerhouses. 3. Racism. According to Washington.edu, as to why Black and Latino candidates has remained static since 1980, years in which candidates of color have been more plentiful and successful. Drumback cited that ever-growing racial wealth gap. So Black and Latino people in the United States just don't have enough money to get a larger share of money in politics. It also may be, he said, that people of color may feel unrepresented and that donating money is unlikely to change the system, whereas white voters may feel like their money can have a role in politics. Be voting affirmative. Thank you.
Now we're going to have 2 minutes of cross-examination.
Hi, Tatiana. Can you explain what Citizens United is again in your own words?
Yeah, so Citizens United was a Supreme Court ruling when a nonprofit corporation went to court because they were not allowed to air a film that they put together against Hillary Clinton. It was slandering her name.
And then can you also explain what dark money is?
Yeah, dark money is money that comes in through these expenditures called super PACs, and that money is not disclosed. The identities of the donating don't disclose.
Okay, and then for the audience, can you explain what part of this deals with our transparency?
Yeah, I'm going to pass that question on to Tim here.
The deciding body, the Supreme Court justices, actually, when they made their decision on Citizens United, Justice Kennedy actually put in his paragraph like his reason for this. He believed that transparency laws and disclosure laws were key in regard to the Citizens United decision to allow transparency. Because when you allow corporations to influence with big money, you're able to track who is causing that influence. So in the world where we have not created that disclosure or transparency law, the decision for Citizens United has failed.
Thank you. And then, Tatiana, can you explain how the overturning of the Citizens United court case will solve?
The overturning of the Citizens United court case will allow those loopholes and language state violence laws that have been destroyed by the decision. So the only reason is because due to loopholes currently in the state violence law, post like overturning this decision, we will see those loopholes be closed.
Okay, and then just one final question. Can you describe to me what a super PAC is, Tatiana?
Yeah, as I said, super PACs are independent expenditures that raise money for.
Thank you. you.
All right. All right, so next we're going to move to the first negative speaker.
Thank you everyone for coming today out to watch this public debate. We hope that it was both informative and entertaining. As the negative team, our objective is to prove that the resolution would make the world worse off, or at the very least, it would get better. I'll be introducing why the affirmative is wrong with three big reasons, our contentions. And after that, I will briefly address some of the points made by the affirmative during the first speech. Contention 1. Overturning Citizens United is a violation of the First Amendment. Congress sometimes writes laws that are far too broad and far too vague. The Supreme Court recognizes that these laws limit our freedoms as they give too much discretion to law enforcement and lawmakers. This is a reason why the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Citizens United in the first place, according to James Gardner in the Cornell Law Review. My second point under contention 1 is that the precedent of overturning Citizens United is a dangerous step in the wrong direction. We have seen the Supreme Court move aggressively from overturning one case into completely remaking case law. We've seen this before in the 1983 decision Bowers v. Hardwick, where the Supreme Court upheld anti-sodomy laws in Texas, and in 2003, where they overturned it, citing the Due Process Clause. U.S. v. Winter followed in short succession, legalizing same-sex marriage on the basis of the Due Process Clause. Court momentum can go either way. Before the Supreme Court dismantled the women's right to bodily autonomy in the Dobbs v. Jackson's Women's Health Organization, they weakened it in Planned Parenthood abuse cases. By overturning Citizens United, we are opening the floodgates for more restrictions of liberty. Unions today, workers tomorrow. Corporations today, and mom and pop shops tomorrow. The affirmative is giving the court a justification to restrict any political speech. It's only a matter of time. Contention 2. More money in politics is good for voter awareness and turnout. Money in politics is good. The affirmative claims that money in politics is bad, but they don't really give evidence as to why that's the case. They don't refute the fact that super PACs can be good. Former chairman of the FEC, Bradley Smith, states that spending money in political campaigns is both necessary and good. Communicating to a mass electorate is costly, and studies have shown that higher political spending increases voter knowledge of candidates and issues. Not only does spending in politics allow for more voices to be heard and for more messages to be spread, but it also allows for a stronger competition between candidates. Open and fair political competition is a hallmark of representative democracies. Political parties are at the core of this process, whether we like it or not. The more money in politics, the more information on the candidate. There's more money being spent on advertisements, which means that the people are aware of what the candidates are endorsing, and this improves voter turnout. So let's also talk about diversity. As opposed to what the affirmative team says, more restriction on campaign finance is a trend in which fewer voices can be heard. According to Scott Blackburn at the Institute for Free Speech in 2020, United has allowed political outsiders to more easily challenge movements and the status quo. The numbers back this up. Blackburn notes that 5 of the election cycles since Citizens United saw an average of 79 freshman members on Congress, the 5 elections prior to the decision, such as 55. So right now, in the post-Citizen United status quo, we have the most diverse Congress and state governmental houses that we've ever had. Kevin Schaefer, Pew Research Center, shares that a quarter of the voting members from the U.S. Congress identify their race or ethnicity as something other than non-Hispanic whites, making the 118th Congress the most racially and ethnically diverse to date. And onto the affirmative case, the affirmative is insufficient to solve the harm that they present. The explosion of big money and secret spending wasn't spurred on by Citizens United alone. It was enabled by a number of court decisions that surgically removed several restrictions in campaign finance law and emboldened by inaction from Congress and gridlock within the Federal Election Commission. Despite fears that elections could be dominated by corporations, the biggest political players are actually individual donors, which is nothing to prevent. The inundation of elections with private cash is not the result of facilitated by the 1976 decision by Vallejo. The case established the legal framework sanctioning billions of dollars of independent private campaign funding. The says that PACs are a source of dark money, but even open secrets which track campaign expenditures has said that PACs are required to disclose the source of their money and how they spend it. So, in summary, overturning Citizens United is an infringement on free speech. Citizens United protects independent voters' rights from being restricted by the Supreme Court. Money in politics is necessary, and without money in politics, voters will be unable to support the candidates that they
All right, we'll have 2 minutes of cross-examination.
Such a lovely speech, Autumn. But just to start us off, am I allowed to call you any derogatory?
I mean, you could.
Under Congress, there are actually laws in place that does. But moving on to our next question about the First Amendment, as this is an argument that you're relating to us. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment or religion or free exercise thereof, or the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of people easily to assist for the readiness of grievance. Where does the state that corporations are granted freedom of speech?
Where does it state where?
In our Constitution?
Doesn't.
And are corporations humans?
Is that relative to the current argument?
Right.
No, corporations are not humans.
Can corporations vote?
People in corporations can vote. Is voting what makes a person a human?
Is the money currently being donated going to certain types of large donations being concentrated to large wealthy individuals?
You can make that argument.
My question is posed to you now.
I'm saying that you could make the argument that they are being donated to wealthy individuals.
You also mentioned stronger competition between candidates. Added to indicate that there are disputes amongst middle and lower class individuals.
Yeah, in the evidence that I read, I'm pretty sure that it was Cochrane County evidence. I don't have it stated there, but it does say that since the Citizens United, we have seen an increase.
And how does more money equate to a stronger lower middle class individual?
Yeah, so if people are allowed to be donate, for example, if a labor union wanted to make a and donate to a candidate, or they wouldn't be donating to a candidate, but run their own campaign for a candidate, then that.
Thank you.
All right. I was gonna say you're answering, but let's move on to the next affirmative. We're moving on to the rebuttals. Tom?
Let's get something crystal clear. Corporations are not American citizens and should be treated as such. The negative points to our First Amendment right of freedom of speech neglects to identify that this ruling effectively overturned a number of campaign finance laws that had restricted corporations and these companies could spend on political advertising. This in turn allowed corporations and their unions to view their vast financial resources to drown out the voices of in the political process, undermining the principle of one person, one vote. And a study conducted by the Ivy League professors of political science, Giles and the economic elites and organized groups have a substantial impact on policy, while the preferences of the average American have little to no effect. This directly suggests that the wealthy and powerful have proportionate influence on political argument. So when it comes down to the question of are they human, it gets the idea. Do not hide behind the First Amendment. They are not people like you or me. Like really, counsel argues that unlimited political spending could actually become a stronger voice in regular people. It allows them to control elections and push you or me out of the process. The ruling undermines the ability of the government to regulate the role of money in politics. These like satanic corporate figures cast their massive resources to give them a advantage in the political process. For the decision, corporations and companies were using their general treasury funds to make independent political expenditures and expressly advocate for the election or defeat of a candidate. Restrictions prevent the corrupting of large sums of money on the platform. Citizens United actually overturned this restriction. They will claim it is a rich contributing to the elections causing corruption. So trying to say, well, the rich just contribute anyways. The way the rich super PACs that only existed post Citizens United. According to Tim Loud with the Brennan Center, they will say more money actually does not buy votes. Sure. Does not buy votes. You want to know what more money does buy? More money buys campaigns. or by pseudo, or they can advocate or they can tear down candidates they want to get their in the office. That is what money buys. You know how Americans and like us make decisions based on our exposure. So I don't know about you, but if like they're telling us that one candidate is wrong or creepy or whatever, PACs can say all of that and more, then we're probably going to vote against them. Remember our open secret. Outside sources are pumping billions. Now, let's get to the bad stuff. So let's get to the bad stuff. They will say that it has allowed a more diverse Congress. This does not matter. Legislative body is not fun. I don't know about you, but like where our money is being spent is not where how our policies are being passed are not in the right direction. What important issues from climate change to infrastructure is failing? They're in the pocket of big business who will only protect themselves to the bottom line. They will cut corners to save money whenever they can. You are seeing big business pulling the strings under the curtains of money. So even if we can ensure they have a more diverse Congress, it doesn't matter if all are the liberal tokenism and like just them being used by big business at this point. The secret political spending we have seen over the last 12 years has corrupted our political process. Representation. The stats. They try to say in more diverse Congress, just 100 people, all of them white, are responsible for 7% of individual contributions to super PACs. This was according to Lisa. Also, something that my teammate over here alluded to, this idea of like Bible information, this is not. So what these super PACs are doing when they have these campaigns, they are often like tearing the vote down of like their candidate. This is not actually protected speech under this person. So even if you view them as people, they're people that need to be held accountable. You cannot hold these super PACs accountable as the decision allows for them to hide behind dark money, to hide behind these nonprofits, and to never actually see the light of day because they can contribute money however they want, no oversight, no accountability. Like, you want to see another bad one? Trump actually just created a new super PAC called So if you want to talk about bad super PACs, I'm pretty sure it's going to get Trump in the office getting. So let's hold them accountable. Thank you.
All right, now we have our next cross-examination. 2 minutes starting now.
I have a question. What makes a corporation?
Whether it's a corporation, whether an identified like corporate body, they have to file a report on the corporation.
Can you give a few examples by corporations?
Well, I would say corporations or anything from Microsoft, Google. Super PACs would be like MAGA.inc.
I have a question. Are the effects that you're proposing indirect effects that you're hoping to materialize or something that you actually know will happen?
So you're saying like let's see, like we're going to see better policy.
Yeah.
Then we know what happened in a world where we close the loopholes created by citizen union.
Do you actually have evidence that those loopholes will be created?
Some loopholes only exist because of the Citizens United decision. So that is overturned, we can see those go away.
So you're saying that every electoral loophole is because of Citizens United?
United was a lot of these problems that we're now seeing a decade ago.
Okay. And so those corporations, did they exist before Citizens United?
Corporations existed, yes.
And what? So if
The
you
problem
plan,
is-
if you plan on overturning the first case, will those super PACs completely disappear?
Yes, they should go around and like stand up. You know, it's purely no one the ability to influence campaigns the way they can now because that only exists because of the decision of the Supreme Court.
Okay, and will that just happen immediately? Okay, thank you. And so in the First Amendment, it says that corporations, or it doesn't say anything about corporations. So why are we supposed to talk about that corporations are not people?
Because you trust are protected by the First Amendment and infringing on their rights. I'm saying you're conflating corporate personhood with actual being an American citizen.
So, thank you.
All right, let's get into cross-examination. All right, so next up, we're gonna have our first negative rebuttal.
All right, cool. Let's reiterate, things are working in the status quo. Not only does the existence of Citizens United ruling allow for the freedom of expression, yes, spending money is expression. But the affirmative stance that repealing Citizens United is crucial to preserve the integrity of democracy, and yet doesn't even solve the harm present. They make everything worse. The affirmative plan can solve for independent expenditures. It does not fix the existence of dark money. Therefore, does not make any moves preserving democracy. The negative makes it clear nothing gets done under the affirmative. ACLU, the ACLU agrees that a mixture of politics among predates Citizens United and would not disappear even if Citizens United were overruled. The super PACs that have emerged after Citizens United have funded with a significant amount of money from individuals, not corporations, and independent spending, not even at issue with Citizens United. As we stated in our first speech, the overturning of the case could lead to a rapid decline in the movements that have been made to preserve our democracy. A step in the wrong direction has the potential to lead to a complete collapse of any speech. We show this through our evidence of Dr. Jackson's Women's Health Organization and the Planned Parenthood versus Case. The affirmative fails to acknowledge that lack of thought. They also seem to be stuck on the idea that corporations cannot be, therefore the First Amendment does not apply to them. Yet, if you were to get hit by a Google buzz, you wouldn't sue Google. This undermines their argument that corporations are not as individuals. The affirmative group is focused entirely on why dark money is bad. Disclosure and transparency is necessary. Corporations have no right to contribute to elections, but they fail to explain how overturning the case will solve this. Getting rid of the case will not make super PACs go away. It will not make independent expenditures go away. Circumvention and loopholes will always be possible. Vote negative. The fact that in the status quo, the people's rights continue to be protected, and we are actively working towards increasing diversity and voter participation without infringing on the people's first and most critical.
Good job. All right, so we're gonna have our last cross-examination now. So 2 minutes, starting now.
So can you give some good things that dark money's actually helping with?
Yeah, dark money, allows people like us to actually fund our campaigns through super PACs. But we wouldn't call it dark money, it's just funding that comes from super PACs. We don't have the.
Okay, and what positive things have they actually offered? Because they actually haven't done much for us.
I mean, if you look at our evidence, it says it's voter turnout
Diversity,
awareness,
right?
it's
Yeah.
increased candidates that was
Sure,
normally
but
not.
what have they done
allowed
as
to-
far as global warming? What have they done? Right?
I mean, where did this question of global warming come from? Yeah, that's.
From our evidence, that pointed that we've made no headway on that.
How does overruling the Citizens United case fix to California highways?
Also, how that happened.
Thank you.
You mentioned the case of Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Arguments.
So the Planned Parenthood versus Casey, as we state in our evidence, it followed let me find the name. The Dogs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization. And so it was taken by this case. And so this case basically was what predated Roe v. Wade. And so it's basically what we're saying is that it's a chain ball of things that just go one after another. And you allow the Supreme Court to continue to take people's rights.
Okay, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. That's time for cross-ex. All right. Good job. And now it's going to be the final opportunity for the negative team to speak. So we have George.
Hello, everyone. So today you'll be voting for the negative because, obviously, transparency doesn't solve. This is offense argument straight to the affirmative, and money doesn't dictate elections. So first off, transparency doesn't mean anything with accountability. If the affirmative doesn't actually do anything, then it doesn't matter. Even if transparency is passed as an amendment, how would they enforce this anyways, right? And it doesn't contribute to how foreign contributors can actually influence our elections. So donations go to people that are already doing things that voters care about. People don't vote for a candidate based on how much they have. They vote based on what they believe in. So even if you have an unlimited amount of money, if your morals are not aligned with the people, you would never win office anyways. And we've seen this through various elections. Such as cited by Scott Blackburn. He pointed out that candidates who have the most money to spend in their support aren't guaranteed to win. Hillary Clinton in 2016 overspent Trump by 50% and she still lost. And then if you want more evidence, right, according to the New York Times, Bernie Sanders who won in the 2020 primary and he still lost. So this goes to prove that money does not buy voters. What actually means is, are your morals ideally aligned with the people? Money is just an excellent source at this. It just allows you to spread your message, to enhance your voice to a bigger microphone. That's what money does. Because if you're not aligned with the people, you just can't win. Furthermore, the affirmative team claims that the ruling undermines the government to regulate rule money in politics, and yet they don't give any recommendations as to what can be done to increase regulation or prevent an attack against our democracy. So, they don't have an after plan for this. Like my teammate have asked, what are the effects of transparency? Are you guaranteed that by overturning Citizens United, transparency is going to be the solution here? No. They have no evidence of this. They have no cases. This is just a myth or fiction that they're trying to put into your thought that, hey, if we overturn Citizens United, transparency would be the solution. That's just simply not true. The United States federal government already requires a certain amount of disclosure in elections, and it's not happening. Moving on, simply overturning Supreme Court ruling with no plan afterwards, especially with the specific Supreme Court ruling allows corporations and unions to back candidates and campaigns down by 1%. As long as the United stands, the Supreme Court can't bill past it and start restricting the rights of individual voters. As we have said, circumvention is possible. Super PACs will not just magically go away, and elections won't be able to completely change overnight. Transparency doesn't mean anything. Super PACs will still find ways to go where they want to go. The FCC can't enforce because they're in gridlock. No one affirmative evidence in the United States led to the estimation of racism in elections. The negative, however, explains that we are actually the most diverse voter pool in Congress ever seen before. So vote for the negative. We have actual evidence as to not actually benefit our democracy. Overturning Citizens United, and lastly, overturning Citizens United does not prevent foreign contributors from our elections. They'll find other methods to run their own ads, which transparency does not enclose foreign contributors. That's only for our democracy, our society. Overturning Citizens United will only further hinder our ability to compete with large market candidates. Super PACs are needed for small candidates to compete with deep pocket candidates. Independent expenditures will still exist with or without overturning Citizens United. So at the end of the day, the affirmative cannot solve. Transparency is not an efficient solution to overturning Citizens United. Citizens United has allowed people like me and you to come together and to raise funding for our political ideals. And that's why you'll be voting for the negative today, because overturning Citizens United is not a good idea for democracy. Thank you.
Thank you, George. All right, and finally, we're gonna have the final affirmative speech from Tyler.
Dark money, corruption, misinformation, and a lack of transparency, also noting racism. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, these are the damaging effects of the Supreme Court Citizens United versus Federal Elections Commission decision that have plagued our democracy for over a decade. The negative side argues that repealing this decision would violate the First Amendment, but let me remind you that the First Amendment protects individuals, not corporations. The court's decision has given corporations the same free speech rights as individuals, allowing them to pour billions of dollars into our elections. $1 billion in dark money that is untraceable and unaccountable is what we're talking about here today. This creates a breeding ground for corruption and giving special interests the ability to buy their way back into our government and control our democracy. According to a report by the Brennan Center of Justice, outside spending in federal elections increased from $143 billion in 2008 to over $1 billion in 2012, just 2 years after the Citizens United decision. This influx of money from corporations and other outside groups have led to an increase in negative advertising and decrease in the accuracy of messaging. Additionally, research by the Campaign Finance Institute more than half in 2012 election came from groups that did not disclose lack of transparency in the political process. The future of our democracy relies on the ways we can hold up foreign international governments as well. Imagine Russia interfering with their own elections and also misleading, putting other things with it on social media. Wait, this already happened in our elections, and this could not happen if this decision was repealed. This proliferation of political advertisement and the rise of misinformation are a direct result of the 2010 Supreme Court case. And the court's decision allowed for unlimited spending from outside sources, including corporations and unions, that are supposedly untethered from candidates or political parties. This has led to erosion of transparency in our political system as dark groups emerge as political powerhouses, keeping the sources of funding secret. This lack of disclosure has led to rampant corruption in the court's disclosure requirements. As an antidote to any potential problem of corruption have been proven to be misguided. Political action committees are only exacerbating this issue. The court's decision has inherently racist impact on our democracy. And as research shows, most state political donors are white and male, drowning out the voices of regular ordinary donors. And the skyrocketing cost of elections also blocks many low-income candidates from running for office. You see how interest rates are now, and apply that to the cost of pursuing debt. It's expensive. And the ever-growing racial wealth gap that the Black and Latino people in the United States simply don't have enough money for a larger share of money in politics. And this disparity is even more pronounced when looking at larger donors, with the top donors in the 2020 election cycle being overwhelmingly white and male. The lack of diversity in political donors leads to a situation where the voices of people of color are drowned out by the interests of wealthy, predominantly white donors. The negative is arguing that there's diversity that's happening, but this diversity that we're only seeing is within the 1% or the wealthy individuals. According to a report by the Brennan Center of Justice, the average cost of one Senate in 2018 was $10.4 million, while the average cost of voting in the House was $1.6 billion. These high costs create a barrier for entry-level candidates that do not have access to large sums of money, disproportionately impacting people of color and lower-income candidates who may not have access to some such crazy networks as their local counterparts. Repealing Citizens United is crucial to restoring the integrity of our democracy. Loopholes that can allow for big money to run our elections in our country. It is time to put an end to the dark money and give American people the transparency they deserve. It is time to level the playing field and ensure that our democracy represents all voices, not just the privileged few. Citizens United is not a violation of the First Amendment. It is necessary to protecting our democracy. We must act now to prevent further damage to our political system and ensure that our government is truly by the people, for the people, and by the people. We cannot let our government be brought out and sold by corporations with special interests. And remember, corporations are not people, thus they should not be treated as such. Thank you.
Well, sorry. All right, so before we decide who won, I forgot I wanted to say about the team that I'm just so proud of them. I've watched them. I graduated right at the pandemic, and the team is some turnover, we had some recruitment during the pandemic, through Zoom. And like this new generation, new look team is just, I'm watching them grow, and I'm so proud of them. They're all doing great. And if any of you want to join, be part of the future of this team, sign up for Comms 111, and yeah, come be on the debate team. All right, so now that I mentioned, this is a prize, so let's decide who won. This is going over this beautiful trophy tonight. So we're gonna do the very scientific and calculated way of deciding who won. We're gonna do the applause on here. So just a reminder, the affirmative team is the team who is in favor of overturning United, and the negative team is against Citizens United. That's quo. So, if you think that the affirmative team won, give a okay, let's see. How about the negative team? Think the negative team won? Give a round of applause. I think we'll do that one more time. If you think the affirmative team won, round of applause. Negative. I think it's negative. I think we definitely need one this one. Let's keep it Citizens United. All right, so everybody, I'm sure you're not pressure case, so make sure you stop by and stand flyers their way out, and thank you for coming. And feel free to come chat with us, into the team, ask questions, and meet with us.
Very fun and very nice. Congratulations, Tyler.